Hello and good morning. Steffi here from The Makers. It's this time of the month again, the first of each month when our subscription boxes change over, and excited as we always are. We've got some amazing new projects that we hope you will have fun making, and we always look forward to what you might be making out of the surprise box as well, which is of course is one of the sub boxes. Just to recap, our subscription boxes are they don't tie you in a contract. We don't sneakily ask monthly money from you and you can't get out of it. You're in charge of your account. You can skip boxes. So if you don't fancy doing them every month, you can skip them. If you want to cancel, you can cancel anytime, no penalty. And you can also change the payment date. So if you know that, can't afford it now, but in 2 weeks time I can, then you can change the payment date of when the money comes out. So that's just, we want you to be really, really excited when you see the postman coming down the lane rather than feeling dread thinking, I shouldn't have bought this box. So and there's always a new technique in there. There's always new materials in there that we're trying to give you the first try of. Sometimes we integrate them into our product range, but sometimes we don't. So you're special. You're very special, our subscribers. So here we go. Today we have got the fairy box, which makes one little dragonfly fairy. There is a variation that you can make a shorter one or a taller one, depending. Oh, this was already flown away. She's had enough. Has anybody noticed my dragonfly t-shirt? I remembered I had one, so I thought I should wear it on the occasion. And then we have got the makers box, which is our longest running subscription box, and that makes a family of elephant, one mum or dad and a calf. And then you also get to make their little sort of area that they're on. So the whole thing that's on display will be in the box, all the materials for you to make. And then of course we've got our surprise box, which is named Fish and Chips this month. So with the surprise boxes, you don't actually have to make. We're not going to check up on you that you actually make what we call them, but it gives you an idea of what kind of colors and fibers and themes you might find in there. And I'm never allowed to show you what's inside. However, we do have a new Facebook group that is our makers surprise box spoiler group, so you can join that one if you want already. If you want to know what's in there already, we've posted yesterday a little time lapse so you can see the exact ingredients, what's in there. So the elephant box, I've just been told, is box number 50. That's a nice round number. That's halfway there to 100. Amazing. I can do maths, as you can tell. So today I think we're going to start with the elephant box, as it's a nice round number for a nice round project. And let's have a look at the elephants. You haven't really seen them properly. There you go. There is wire inside them, so it's another wire armature project. Very simple. It's a new wire that we haven't used in our boxes yet. I don't think we have. They have got the glue in eyes for the eyes, and you can make, of course, the baby as well. As they're posable, it's quite fun sort of to play with their trunks and their little tails. So they could be sort of holding tail and trunk and march into the distance, or the two could be posed like that. So whatever you like doing. And of course it does make this sort of type. It looks so lovely. It looks like an air shot from above like that. So it's a little bit like the savannah with dust and dusty, sandy area, and then some of the greener grass, shrubs and bushes that sort of poke out, and they look really nice displayed on top of it. And of course you'll be using our structural core to make this with the extra wool that you get in the maker's box. There you go. So I'll leave them here. You can just about see them. And I'm in fact, let's do this. There you go. Now you can see both of them. And I'm going to go to the overhead camera so you can see what's inside the box. So we've got some brand new stickers, in case you haven't noticed that. But yeah, this is the new look of the maker's box. Is very appropriate as it's our 50th. In your first box, if you're a first-time subscriber, oh gosh, this is so full. And if you're a first-time subscriber, you also get a full tool set in there, which comprises of 5 needles and our eco wool mat. And once you get your second, third, and so on box, maybe you're on box number 50, then we ask you to use your own tools. There's always a Maker's newsletter in there. That's our monthly newsletter, and every monthly newsletter has got free tutorials on the back here. This one is of the spiral or tower seashell, and you can actually watch a real tutorial. There's already one on YouTube that Sophie made last year. So you can use this and watch it as well. And incidentally, I've also just done another one last night on the Creative Craft Show Facebook page. And these are colored ones. Then you get our Maker's Box newsletter. There's always a little bit of information about the project. You get an insight of what's coming next, and that is a panda bear baby. So that's basically, I'll leave you to read that. And then on the back here, it tells you how to manage your subscription, which is a bit more in detail of what I've been trying to tell you first off. And then you get your full instructions. All of our instructions, sorry if you have already heard me say this a million times, I've got centimeter measures here on the left hand side. So if you haven't got a ruler or you work in inches, then it helps you to follow the instructions as we always talk about centimeters in there. So there's your set of instructions. Get your wire in there that you need to make both of the elephants. You always get a free sample, in not just in the Maker's Box, in all of our orders. And this month, it's the fiber of the month is Rami. Get your eyes, get your structural core, which you need to make the background or what they're walking on. And then you've got the wool here in this bag, which is well, you'll see for yourself, but it's basically a brown, a green, that sort of grey wool for the elephant, and white. And that's basically what's in the Elephant and Calf Maker's Box. Just to remind you also that when you are a subscriber, whether it's the Elephant, whether it's the Maker's Box or the Fairy Box or the Surprise Box, you have exclusive access to our sub club. And the sub club in July, it saves you 20% on all ocean-themed small kits, all our curls, water fairy kit, exotic wool mix, aquamarine mountain sheep bats, blue-green shimmer New Zealand bats, turquoise extra fine tops, turquoise blue tone tops, plus the fiber and project of the month. I guess you get the idea. Is it's all quite sort of water and seaside themed. So that's basically what you are getting in your Maker's Box. Just to look ahead, in September there will be a puppy, and in October there will be a baby gorilla. Oh, I never know how to put this back in again. Now, because this is one of Sophie's last projects that she designed before she was going on maternity leave last year, she's in the meantime had the baby, and of course she's also sort of over half a year old now. But Sophie did pre-record some of the techniques on the elephant, so I'm gonna play this to you in a minute, just to let you know, and in advance, is that I watched the little pre-recorded thing, and I watched in absolute horror to see that Sophie was using a little bit of blue foam mat, which of course we don't use at all anymore. I have absolutely no idea why she was doing that. She must have, I don't know why. I genuinely, I will ask her, because she is of course back 2 days a week now, working from home and partially at our headquarters. But I have no idea why she did that. So I'm very intrigued. I will definitely ask her. But as you know, we don't use foam mats anymore. We either use the earth-friendly felting mats, which are these things. They're really, really super efficient in that they're almost indestructible. You can use them for a long time, and then if you do need to replace the top mat, which is slightly softer, 100% wool, then you can just buy them separate. But otherwise, use them as a set of two with a firmer base, which is 70% wool and 30% man-made fiber. The top one is 100% compostable, so you don't have to feel bad if you work your way through it one way or another. Then you can replace it with another one and compost the other, or just leave it underneath and build up your layers until you're needle felting up here somewhere. No, exaggerating. And then of course in all of our kits we now have our eco wool mat, which again comes in a sandwiched up fashion, and so we don't use foam mats anymore. Just to make that point again. Right, let's have a look at what Sophie has to say about the elephant and sharing some techniques. I see you again in about 7 minutes.
Hello, this is Sophie from the Makers coming to you Back to the Future from 2020. I am going to show you today how to make tusks for the elephant project. I've only got the mum elephant made before I managed to go on maternity leave, so the baby will be on its way as mine is. So I'm going to show you the tusks of the elephant. They're quite small, quite fiddly, so it's worth minding your fingers while you're doing these. I've got one tusk on this elephant already, and I'm going to show you how to make the other. So while we would normally be using our wool mats, our earth mats, I'm actually going to work on a foam mat today, just so you can see the colour a little bit better, because we're using quite a light colour. And what you need for the tusks is a little bit of white, a little bit of grey, and to cover the tusk once you've put it on the elephant. And a felting needle, a single needle is absolutely fine for this. So I'm just going to, you would normally take 2 pinches of wool the same, so you can make 2 tusks the same size. That's the first step to getting them the same size. So this is the sort of shape we're aiming for. It's basically a little kind of almost like a cone shape, and with some loose fluffy fibres at the back, so to help you attach the tusk. So if you take one of your pinches of wool, you fold it in half. So I'm literally folding it in half. Like that. And then I'm going to roll it up. So I'm actually folding it into a quarter and then rolling it up, because it's a little bit easier to do it that way. So just wrapping around all those loose fibres, so you've got a kind of like a folded, rolled up part, and then you've got lots of loose fibres at the back, and that will be where we attach the tusk to the head. So we're going to leave this part unfelted, and we're going to start stabbing into the tusk. So it's very small, so watch your fingers. This is usually where I stab myself. I'll try not to swear. And I'm just felting just that end, which will be the tusk part, and just leaving those fibres loose and unfelted. So I've got that fairly firm now. At the moment it's quite fluffy. Now you can leave it fluffy if you want. Don't know how well you can see the fluff on there. You can leave it fluffy if you want, or if you want to do some adrenaline felting, you can take your tusk between the fingers, or finger and thumb, take your felting needle, put the end of the felting needle past your fingers. That's key if you want not to stab yourself. If you want to stab yourself, that's your choice. And you're just going to tuck those fibres in by sort of running the needle through them. So you are really likely to stab yourself doing this. The other thing you can do is get 2 bits of card, which I should have got ready really. Let's try it with this. So you can sandwich the tusk between 2 bits of card, hold it still, and you're much less likely to stab yourself. Definitely use card rather than paper. So that's just tucking in some of those loose fibres. And then you can give it a little bit of a curve by just felting it into the top part of the tusk. And doing that shrinks the middle in and turns it upwards. We've got a little bent tusk there. Now I've probably got a little bit too much excess on the back of my tusk, so I'm just going to carefully pull off some of those fibres. And I'm going to spread out those loose fibres and lay the tusk against the face right at the top of the trunk. So I've got my one tusk in already, so I'm just going to check that they're level. And then I'm going to use my felting needle to stab those loose fibres into the head to attach the tusk. So at the moment, don't worry about what it looks like around here. It's just the tip of the tusk that we want to make sure is kind of level with the other one and straight. So I'm just going to hold that tusk and felt those edges in. So the reason we don't need to worry too much about the base is because we're going to cover that with a little bit of grey. So I'm quite happy with where that's sitting now. So I'm going to take a little pinch of grey fibre. And elephants, they have these kind of like lips that cover the top of their tusk. And I'm going to use this grey to kind of show that. So that's without, looks a bit messy. That's with, you've covered up all of those kind of loose fluffy fibres. And then I'm just going to stab that grey in. Now my elephant's eye has just fallen out on the other side because I haven't glued it in yet. I need to take a photo of that stage for the instructions that you'll all have in your hands right now, or very soon. I knew that would happen. So better put the eye back in. Can't have an elephant who can't see. There we go. So he's got, or she, should I say, has got two little tusks there, and she's waiting. Her baby's inside waiting to be born. So I hope you enjoy making your mum and baby elephant. And this month's competition, would love to see your elephants interacting with each other. Maybe they're holding their trunks together. Maybe the baby's holding the mum's tail and toddling along behind. We'd love to see what your elephants are up to. So send your pictures into Everyone a Maker, our Facebook group. And happy making. Back to Steffi.
Hello. I could see Sophie. I couldn't actually hear what she was saying, and I haven't watched it through and through. But I got the impression that at the end she probably talked about the tail and the trunk, that they're posable and they can sort of hold onto each other. I've noticed I haven't said hello to anybody here who's watching today, so let's just have a quick look. Catherine is there. Hi, Catherine. Diane is there. Awkward Prawn, good morning. Gina is there. Serena, Ashley, Lorna, Ava, Samantha, and Gina. No, I said already Gina. Well, anyway, you were mentioning twice. It's absolutely fine. So that was the elephants. Remember, you get all of this in the subscription box. Oh, look, he's having a good time lying down there. Yeah, really easy make. It's we sort of tend to, give you new ideas with every project, but sometimes the makes are easier than the others. And I should also just say I have seen some wonderful Dartmoor ponies, which of course was last month's box, and I'm pretty certain we're going to turn this into a pack so that more people can benefit from it, but of course not at this really competitive price that you guys are getting it in the subscription boxes. So thanks for sharing, as always, sharing your makes. Go onto our Everyone a Maker page. We always have competitions going for our subscriptions as well, so you can win yourself something. I don't know whether we've decided that we often let the competition run a bit longer so that people who get their boxes late in the month have got a chance to enter, but that will be coming up in the next week or so, so do keep a keen eye out for that, and you can win yourself a prize as every month. I should also say that the whole unboxing will be replayed on Sunday evening. We are not going to man it, so it will be an unmanned live stream that we're putting over onto Facebook at 7 p.m. So if you want to watch it again, then feel free. Or if you want to tell your friends that if they want to see it, they can just sit back with a cup of tea and see what's in the boxes, in our makers boxes and our fairy boxes and our surprise boxes. Well, you won't see the insides, but you'll get an idea for July 2021. Right, let's put these back. So let's just have a quick look at well, I'm gonna have a quick look at the surprise box, which is fish and chips, as I said, and you're gonna have to not look. I made the mistake of putting it on the overhead camera, or something like that, and then suddenly everybody could see it. So I can see now what you normally get in there is sort of an A5 little thing like that. I can see what's on. It explains, there's usually 6 different products in a surprise box. It explains what is in there and what you might associate it with, or what you might be wanting to make with it. Turn it around, you didn't see that. Get your newsletter in there, and then yeah, it's a full box. It's got lots of fibers in there. This month it's, well, it's very fishy. Haha. I can tell you do get a word search in there, so that's as much as I will say. In fact, you get 2 in there, so you can at least look forward to that. I'm going to put everything back in, and yeah, I'm so excited to see what you guys are coming up with. These surprise boxes are mostly for needle felters. You can use most of our fibers for wet felting as well. Sometimes it's sort of a bit mixed media and crossovers, but it's over to you. Let's see what you produce from these lush fibers in there that are themed fish and chips. July surprise box. Right, fairy box next. It's a new concept. I'm actually really excited by the fairy boxes coming up, and this one included, because it's a new technique. So you've all done the fairies where you use the basic fairy instructions. This one is different, and what is different about it is that it makes a very delicate fairy. So there are so the fairies in this box and in the next few boxes will be really delicate, and I really hope that you will like them as much as I do. We would love to hear some feedback on what you think about it all. So I'm just going to, where can I perch this one so she can just sit here, stand here nicely. I usually have a little flower vase they can stand in, but can't see it. Must be somewhere else. Just going to put her in this needle vase that I'm using there. She can stay there for a minute. So the fairy box comes in a slim A5 letter box, so that it fits through your letter, through your letterbox. Yeah, that must be it. Same word. Sorry, I'm easily confused. And it's our number 16. So we've been doing them for over a year, and this is number 16. How exciting. Let's have a look overhead what's inside. So it makes one little delicate dragonfly fairy. It's incidentally, I think it's the first fairy that is actually an animal, if I remember rightly. I'm always very impressed how beautiful these kits get packed. Again, you do get a little newsletter, which gives you sort of maybe a little bit of inspiration of what the dragonfly fairy, just to put you in the mood of it, basically. And then coming up next is a 2 fairy box. We've never done this before, but there are 2 fairies in the next box in August, which is Love in a Mist fairies. In September, it's the Pumpkin Fairy, and in October, the Moonstone Fairy. So really, really, the next few fairies I'm really excited by. Including this one. She's absolutely, I love her. I always say that about every fairy. I know I must stop doing that. So with this one, for a change, the whole instructions are in one set of instructions. This time you do not get a basic fairy instruction and then the specific instructions for the fairy that you're getting one set of instructions. You're also getting a felting mat in there. That's new. It's our mini version of the eco wool mat. So there's a little bit more felting involved in this particular one, and you're getting a fine felting needle instead of a medium needle, which you have had in the past. So these are all new things, lots of new things, lots of accessories. These are the 2 pairs of dragonfly wings, so they are obviously to go on back of the fairy. There you go. Very delicate, really lovely, especially for sort of delicate features like that. And then you've got a little pack here that has got Angelina fiber in it and some wool to make the mouth and some wool to make the eyes. But I promise you, you'll have loads left. And then these are the main ingredients. So you have, this is new. It's not new if you look at it, but it is new. This one is not the New Zealand wool bat that we normally use. This one is the Australian merino bats, and it's a lot finer, which means when you needle felt it, it's so much easier to add features into it, and the facial features look a lot more delicate and younger than when you've got a coarser wool and you try and needle felt it, makes it sort of look like an older face. And then you've got this beautiful carded bat here, which is it's got a little bit of silk in it. There's actually 1 strand of Angelina fiber. That's how much Angelina fiber, just 1 strand. You can see it, you spot it a mile away. And then you get this lovely piece of our space dyed Cornish seaside. Got a new mini loopy locks. There's actually more Angelina fiber in there. I mean, gosh, look at that. Isn't that just amazing? I want color hair like that. I've always wanted red hair, but anyway. My dragonfly fairy has got it. And then you get, again, this is new. Everything's new in this box. You get our new flexible steel wire. So what I'm going to do is I will show you how to make the head on this fairy, because it's a new technique. So I'm going to keep most of this out, and I'm putting the box back. So I've got something in the background there. And I shall be using the new needle and also the eco wool mat to do this. So with the eco wool mats, if you have never used them before, that little sticker just tells you how to use it, because you need to use the 2 together and you sandwich that hessian, that's the base of the wool mat inside. So you've got to imagine it's a jam sandwich and there's the jam oozing out. And it's 100% compostable. So if you're done with it and you can't use it anymore, then just put it on your compost. Put it out for the birds, they'll pick it apart and they make nice cozy nests with it as well. So instructions as well. So obviously this makes 1 fairy, and if you decide to make the longer one, then you just have to make the legs longer. That's the only difference between the 2. So you can have a shorter one, which I also think is really sweet. But if you like it a little bit with longer legs, then you can do that too. It's absolutely not a great deal to change the difference. And can you see the Angelina fiber sparkling? How nice is that? Love it. Oh, I love them both so much, and they've got closed eyes. You can make whatever eyes you want on them, of course. So yeah, I'm really enjoying making the fairy. So it's just one of those things that I really love. Okay, so you are taking your a wispy strand of the wool. Where's my felting needle gone now? I'll put it back in the box. Oh no, they're here. Take that out. There. So that's my fine felting needle. That's a new one that you haven't had before in the fairy box. And so you take a wispy bit of the wool. Now, this wire is special. If I just shut up for a minute and you just listen, can you hear that? So as I'm scraping my fingernail along it, it looks as though 2 wires have been tightly twisted around each other and then melted into one, but it's left it with this sort of serrated. It's not sharp, but it's enough coarseness there for you to start wrapping the wool around it and the wool getting a good old grip. So you take a wispy strand of this wool and then you put the wool bats around it. Now you're making the head first, and it doesn't matter so much how neat you work with the head to start with, but get a good practice going, and practice so that you get your hands nice and neat as well. And this is what this particular fairy style is all about, is really keeping the features delicate and her hands delicate and arms and legs delicate too. Once you've wrapped the wool around it so that this part of the pipe cleaner is covered, you bend the end in. That takes care of the sharp end of the pipe cleaner, so it's inside, and it also traps the wool. And now you can speed up a little bit by building bulk onto here. If you're making hands, then obviously you're keeping this really delicate and you're going along the arm rather than building up bulk around that end of the pipe cleaner. I'm only doing that because this is where the head is going to be. Keep tearing this wool now. It's quite a short fiber in comparison to the flesh pink New Zealand merino, so do take care. If it severs, don't worry about it. You can always pick up a new piece and keep wrapping. You've got plenty of wool there. There will be some left over, no doubt. And just keep going until you get to a point where you notice that the wool sort of wants to slip off the top and the base. I'm concentrating my wraps around the center as much as I can. And when you get to that stage where you feel like any more wrap and it just keeps sliding around, then start felting it down. And the way to felt it down is by going into the top, obviously, because you want to keep that nice and round rather than pointy, but mind the wire inside, and then also going into the base. Make sure you don't poke your eye out by having the wire sticking out at one end. And all you're going to do now is you're going to work this head quite a bit. It is a fine needle, so the wool responds to it really well. It will keep the surface quite smooth and fine, which is exactly what you want when you want to add the eyes and the mouth later. So you need to felt this up quite firmly. There's a bit more needle felting involved in this particular fairy. So once you've felted the layer down, then add more until the head measures about 2.5 centimeters in diameter. So it's a smaller head than any of the fairies that we've done before. That sort of adds to the delicate look, having a slightly smaller head. And I'm sure you will love making her. She is really delightful, absolutely delightful. So that's basically how you make the head and build up on the head. I won't do the whole fairy, obviously, because you got the instructions there. We do have a whole section on our YouTube channel. If you go into the playlist, you see all the how-to tutorials for the fairies. And her hair, the way that her hair is fastened, you can look that up. There's definitely ways, if you look at how her legs, her stripy legs have been made, there's something there as well. And the only thing after I've made the head that I will show you is how to mix the fiber for her lovely little tutu skirt that's sort of sticking up. So that head's felted down as much as I can do this now. Now I'm just going to take another wisp of the wool. I sort of lengthen it a little bit by teasing it apart, so that I've got already a thinner area that I can wrap. I concentrate this wrapping in the center, making sure it doesn't sort of slip off the head, and build another layer. There we go. And then felt that down as well. I really like how that fine needle is sort of getting into the wool and making it nice and firm. So you have to just be a little bit more delicate with a fine needle, because they're also more likely to break as they're a lot finer. So be careful, extra careful of the wire inside. It often works best to stab along the wire, right, rather than when you know it's inside, stab straight into it. And if you stab straight into it, be mindful that you don't go too fast or too much, too vigorous in there. Keep felting the wool down, and when you are happy with the size of the head and the finished appearance, then you've basically learned a new technique of how to make a head without the lollipop technique, which is what we've used before. So this is just needle felting just a lollipop straight onto the end of the wire. And that is basically the technique I wanted to show you of how to make this needle felted head using the Australian Merino Flesh Pink, which is new in our product range. So if you haven't got it yet, it's basically what I'm using all the time now. I can't get enough of it. It's brilliant. It's if you want to know what it's similar to, of course we already have got the Australian Merino as bats, and it's very similar to the Australian mouse white, so what the mice are made of, and our bleached white, and also we have got it as an olive green as well. And let me get this right. It's definitely, we've got it as a blue green, but it's not. I have to try and remember which one it is, whether it's the turquoise, what we call a turquoise, or I think it might be a turquoise Australian Merino. So there you go. The needle does work really well with this. It's a very smooth finish, so that works really well. Right, that was basically it's the water blue Australian Merino. If you've used that before, then you know. So the next thing I want to show you, just as a how to mix to get this little really sort of fine looking skirt here. And I won't obviously attach it, but we have got tutorials for that as well. But to get the skirt to look that way, you're actually not going to use all of this. This is really hard for us to give you the right measurements, because you'll complain to us and say, why have I only got the tiniest amount of wool in there? So be prepared. You will have more left. You can probably make another one of these fairies out of the wool that you have left. I'm just opening all the accessory bits here, because it's got the Angelina fiber right here at the bottom. There you go. So these bits here are for the mouth and the eyes. You can imagine you're not going to use all of that. So what you do is you are actually, I know what I'm going to do. I just want to make sure that that is also what I've written in the instructions, because I'm notorious changing things all the time, as most of you know. Right. So you take a couple of strands of this Cornish blue, and when I say a couple of strands, you can sort of tease them apart already, like that. A couple of strands there. So you have a really lovely, I mean, if you prefer that side, then obviously sort of tear it off from that side. And then you lay a very few of these Angelina fibers on top of it, like that. And now you're going to mix it by just keep tearing it, well, teasing it, I should say, teasing it apart and letting the fibers slither away from each other to mix the Angelina fiber into that lovely wool top that you've got there. And that also makes it really feathery and wispy. So you don't have that heavy, thick wool top here. You're actually making up your own little wispy wool top. And you can see that you can now see where the delicate skirt sort of comes from, because all that almost will do for the whole fairy. You might have to mix another little batch. This is obviously the greener part of that part of the Cornish seaside, and you can decide whether it's sort of going to be slightly darker or slightly lighter. I think she has got slightly darker. Still quite green, actually. I must have on both of them grabbed the green by not intentionally, just by accident. So you can decide which part of the Cornish seaside you want to use for a skirt, and then that is basically how you mix the fiber for the skirt. And it's explained how you fasten it onto the Dragonfly fairy, and there are also tutorials on our website. And that's basically all I wanted to say about the techniques for the fairy. So exciting. Look, she's really, really delicate there, and got these lovely wings as well. So I can't wait for you to make the more delicate fairies, and then you've got the Love in the Mist fairy to look forward to. The only difference between the fairy box and the maker's box and the surprise box is that the fairy box can be bought as a one-off as well. You won't get the benefit of being a subscriber, so that you save yourself 20%. but you can get the fairy boxes individually. So if you that's a good news for those who've missed out on past boxes, because we keep them in stock until they run out. Sometimes we restock them if they've been a popular one, and we keep them in our whole repertoire. But some of the fairies you can still do them because the PDFs are available to buy as well. So I don't know if there have been any questions. I don't think Bridget says glad it's an Aussie flesh pink. Well, you must know that Bridget watches all the way from Australia, so at some godforsaken hour of the day. And Bridget says, "Oh, the fairy look beautiful. I can't wait to make her." Emma, of course, is here in the background. I should have mentioned her sooner, but you all spotted that it was her. Okay, so we've just got a request. I like requests. Somebody wants to know how the elephant instructions are presented. So I want to I'm going to unpack this again. Get the elephant instructions out. Still here. Yeah, and I'll show you overhead what they look like. I think specifically people wanted to know how the calf instructions are. So this is for the elephant itself, and I have actually no idea because I haven't written these. So come on, Emma, help me out there. You've edited these instructions. How are the calf instructions? Where are they? Are they alongside the main elephant? Probably. I've got to read this now, don't I? Calf. Oh, okay. So the calf is in blue. That's it. So the adult is in black, and the calf, all the calf instructions, yeah, it's all in blue. That's it. Yeah, got that now. So you follow, because you can't really tell the scale from looking at the pictures, you basically do exactly the same, but you follow different measurements. So for example, the legs of the elephant are 45 centimeters long, whereas for the baby elephant or the calf it's 22.5. So that's how that is done. So that you read the same words, but you just look at the different measurements. That's the answer to that question. Hope that was helpful. And remember, you can re-watch all of this on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. And whilst I've got you here now, you probably know that our advent calendars are now ready to be pre-ordered. We are getting very close to the end of our stock, so don't delay it anymore. If you've been holding on to payday, spend your first bit of money with us before the advent calendars are run out. And in the advent calendars, this is our 4th year, you get 24 parcels. There is actually a little surprise on top of all the surprises as well. And we've got very busy helpers at the workshop who are helping us pack it, and it's all available now on our website. So the only thing I will say is please only buy the advent calendar. If you want to buy anything else, place a separate order, because we can't logistically and physically and everything else, we can't process any extra orders that get added to the advent calendar. We've just grown too big to do that. So apologies. It's all your fault, because you've made us so busy. But we also thank you from the bottom of our heart for it, of course. So don't feel bad. We're feeling bad. That's our job. But thank you for not placing extra orders with it. And maybe I should also just let you know that I'm back on Tuesday with a live stream at 1 o'clock. That's our usual time, at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. And it will be the starfish, which is looks like that. And we do sell a small kit for that makes 2 if you want to join in. And there's some wire wrapping techniques which might be handy for the elephants. Oh, yes. Emma has just said somebody's asking for which fairy. I'm making one. I'm so excited. I can't wait. It's probably going to be about that size, as I'm in love with that size. She's going to be really sweet. I'm really excited. I'm waiting for some special accessories. Yes, she's definitely coming. Also coming, I've been working on a Scarecrow, which I'm very excited about. I don't know, do you want to see him? I've got to get up and get him. Okay, I'll just do that very quickly, but what can I show you in the meantime, just so that you don't see me get up and come back. Oh, we've got our wild weekend. Let's talk about the wild weekend. So the wild weekend is coming up, which is 13th to the 15th of August. It's a weekend of fun, fluff, friends, fresh air, fleece, and all of it. I'm just in the process of buying raw fleece, different types. I'm hoping to have, by the time we get to it, I already got some Shropshire fleece, which I've just bought, and I'm hoping to have some Cotswold curls and a Cotswold lion one, and a Wensleydale fleece as well, which was going to be there to be processed. I can't teach you that. It will have to be through an expert. There you go. That's the Scarecrow. So do book it onto the Wild Weekend Away. The Scarecrow is going to be a pack to craft along. He can stand on his own because he's got some. Sorry, excuse his bald head, but there's a hat missing, which I haven't got at the moment, but it will go on there. He can actually stand on his own, believe it or not, because of this wire at the back. It just needs a little bit of precarious balancing, which works better on a less slippy surface. But you can also put him in a plant pot. I'm just going to hold on to there now. But he's got little creatures living in him. We've got the dates for the Scarecrow, but he's not published yet anywhere. So just look out for it, but it will happen. Anyway, I'm hijacking this whole unboxing video now, so I'm gonna go now. Thanks very much for watching, and hope to see lots and lots of exciting makes from the subscription boxes. We love every single post that you share with us. We don't always have the time to comment on it, but trust me, when we see it, it makes our heart melt, and we're always very grateful for you to take the time to share it with us. And the Scarecrow starts August the 17th. So you've got plenty of time to get the pack. We can't get it at the moment because it doesn't exist yet, but I'm working on it. Right, that's all I've got to say. Take care, everybody. Have a lovely weekend that's coming up. And yeah, that's it. See you soon. Bye.